that to people?
Well, I just say that the economy is right now in a very strong rebound, which in my view is a self-sustaining recovery, even with the uncertainties about the virus, which are always present. I understand that. Jobs have been rising. We've created 9 million jobs in the last 3 months. That's one point. We are in a housing boom, not a recovery, a boom. Housing, home builder sentiment is the highest in 22 years. Housing permits and starts are above the pre-pandemic level. Retail sales are above the February level. And what's interesting to me in production and manufacturing, every single one of those key indicators are V-shapes, every one. And I think people should acknowledge that. If you look at it, the president, we did a bunch of charts for the president on Monday in his presser, and he put them up on the board for everybody to see. I'm not making this stuff up. These are the government statistics. So I think you've got a collapse of inventories in the second quarter, $350 billion drop. It's really unprecedented. Now you've got big gains in housing and car sales and consumers. You saw the numbers out of Lowe's and Home Depot and so forth. That shows you. So in order to meet the rising demand, they're going to have to rebuild inventories, which means more manufacturing, more construction, more jobs. So to me, it's a classic. So I will acknowledge always the virus threat. Fortunately now, the new cases are off about 35% from their late July highs. And fortunately, the fatalities are leveling off and starting to come down. No one can be sure. Putting that aside, even the breakout in the hot spots in late June and most of July really didn't restrain this recovery very much. I think you see it in some areas, but it was fairly minor. I was pleasantly surprised because I'm always worried about this. So no, I think the stock market is correctly portraying not only a V-shaped recovery, but the stock market is seeing through the virus to the other side. We're in late August. Stocks tend to run, 6 to 12 months ahead. And I think it's saying 2021 is going to be a terrific year. I'm staying with my view, which is shared by the CBO and a lot of private forecasters. You're going to get about a 20% rise in third quarter GDP and fourth quarter GDP.
So there's no need for extra stimulus for Americans then?
Well, I think, no, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think as regards to spending bills, if it's smart and efficient, we have suggested to our friends across the aisle that we would put up more money for, say, opening schools. And the president's executive order puts more money to extending unemployment benefits. We're okay with that. We'd probably be okay with the post office increase, although they got $10 billion in cash a few months ago. So yes, some spending, not massive, larded up spending that was rejected last March. And the president now is pushing for tax cuts, which I think is very powerful incentive and stimulus. We want to defer the payroll tax and wind up forgiving it. That's important. We want to extend the eviction moratorium. We want to extend the student loan interest and principal moratorium with a zero interest rate to pay back. So yeah, there are smart things we can do, but throwing the spending book and using everybody's wish list from the liberals and the left and whatnot is not what we're going to do. And the economy is self-sustaining.
Larry, on postal talk, on the postal issue, do the slowdowns with mail and such in the United States have the potential to affect the economy?
Geez, I'm not an expert on the post office delivery rates. My understanding is, according to the Postmaster General, there haven't been slowdowns. That's his side. He's a pretty smart guy. He's a logistics guy. But all these characterizations of stopping the vote and this and that, I just don't understand any of that stuff. They're not going to change. They're not going to change their internal procedures, at least not now. They're not going to stop sorting mail. Long run, I think everyone would agree we probably have too many post offices, because after all, snail mail is competing with email. All right, we know that. And it's also competing with FedEx and such. But you can't close the post office because Congress people won't let you. So the guy's in a hole. But I honestly, to me, the biggest potential restraint is always the virus. Always the virus. I don't think the post office has a whole lot to do with any of that stuff. But we will. I mean, Secretary Mnuchin has said we put up $10 billion in cash. What was it? In July or June? And on our ask list, we would be okay with an increase in post office spending. Yeah. I don't want to negotiate here.
China. You talked about the pro forma China talks picking up again.
Yeah.
Is there potential there at least for the collateral issues that the president is concerned about with regard to China coming up in those talks?
Well, look, we're very cross with China on a number of issues, as you know. Taking away freedom in Hong Kong, hacking, sabotage, espionage, their performance during the opening moments of the China flu origination, activities in the South China Sea. So we're very cross at them. But we have been and remain engaged on the Phase 1 deal that was signed last January. And Ambassador Lighthizer has said a number of times that he actually is pleased with the progress of that. Even adjusting for the pandemic, they're buying a lot of our commodities, and it's really picking up. So that's been his reports. I've been in those meetings. Bob is a good friend. So we are engaged on trade. I don't think there's spillovers. These things are very complicated. You have separate tracks for problems, and I think that's a good way to problem solve, is to keep them on separate tracks. But so far, it looks okay. It's not done yet. Obviously, the IP theft, the transfer of technology, the subsidies, these are huge questions. But the commodity piece looks pretty good.
Yesterday you said you weren't aware of the boycott, the call for a boycott on Goodyear that the president
I was not. I missed that.
Today you probably are.
I am.
Are you supportive of the President of the United States calling for a boycott of an American company?
Well, here's what I support, and I believe this was the president's intention. Freedom of speech. We looked at this, he looked at this, and saw this company allowed certain slogans, one might say on the left, but not more conservative slogans. We don't think that's fair, and we don't think corporations should be in that business of censoring conservative views. So, for example, the blue line matters. That's a support for cops and police. They're not allowed to have that. They're not allowed to use that. That is wrong.
That's not what he cited, though. In the tweet, he cited the wearing of MAGA hats.
And I will add to that the wearing of MAGA hats. But I'm sorry, he did in numerous quotes. He said it at the presser last night. Two that stuck out was they're forbidden to support the police and they're forbidden to support Donald Trump. And we think that's wrong. And, my advice to Goodyear is change your policies, be equal, and allow freedom of speech. That's my advice to Goodyear. It's a fine company, but they've got to play by the American rules, okay? That was his problem.
Larry, do you expect unemployment rate to go down by November?
They're already going down quite a bit, and they will go down further. I think we'll see single-digit numbers. But the peak was about 14.5, so pretty rapidly, 3 months we've dropped to 10.2, and I think that trend will continue. I think, look, coming back to your question, I think barring another breakout of the virus, and we're doing pretty well now in stabilizing this, this recovery will surprise almost everybody. And that includes jobs and unemployment. So yes, I'm very optimistic. We have a lot of work to do on the jobless front. I know that. There's still way too much hardship. I get that. But We are helping with assistance, we are helping with tax cuts, and I think, as I said, as the economy continues, you've got big booming sectors in housing and autos and manufacturing, retail sales. Inventories have to be rebuilt to supply, and that's a huge boost to the economy. So yeah, you'll get way under single
On the
digits.
Iraq Prime Minister's visit today, there's reports that some companies are going to try to pitch in to assist in their economy. Do you have any knowledge?
No, I wasn't in those meetings, so I'll just skip that. One more.
Yeah, just real quick. I just wanted to get your reaction to Apple becoming a $2 trillion company right in the middle of a pandemic.
Well, look, the internet-related companies have done great because we've all moved to something. Teleconferences, telehealthcare, teleshopping, right? So I say good for Apple. It's a well-run company. I regard Tim Cook as a brilliant CEO, and I love success. I love success. One of the important things about President Trump, not only does he believe in American free enterprise, but he also believes in rewarding success, not punishing it. And our friends across the aisle have made it clear once again that they wish to punish success, not reward it. And I will say that's no way to run an economy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.